Welcome back to Golf Extra. Lucas Glover has one of the most interesting backstories of anyone in golf, but he hasn't been in the spotlight very frequently until his recent back-to-back wins at the Wyndham Championship and the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Those wins have proved to be a couple of the most momentous of the year, especially considering Glover's almost unbelievable story, as well as the fact that the win allowed him to move past even Tiger Woods in the history books. Glover even had some hilarious remarks that sum up him as a golfer. Better make sure you're sitting down for these. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Now, let's get right into Lucas Glover's incredible story. Early in his career, Lucas Glover had some up and down success. After going pro in 2004, Glover won the Funai Classic in 2005 for his first victory on tour, and he played well in his next two seasons. After a slumping 2008 season, Glover bounced back with the U.S. Open victory at Bethpage Black in 2009, where he ranks as one of the most surprising winners in the history of the event, given that it was only his second career win. His putting carried him to the win, but it wasn't long until the putter completely abandoned Glover and sent him to rock bottom. For the next several years, Glover struggled mightily with his putter, so much so that commentators diagnosed him with the dreaded yips. He had several high-profile incidents of extreme putting difficulty from a short distance and was ultimately ranked near the very bottom of the PGA Tour among eligible players in short putt accuracy. A surprising turn of events for a previously consistent player. Things got so bad that Glover even had to re-earn his tour card multiple times after losing it during poor performance. Glover didn't know where to turn. Enter Jason Koon, a former Navy SEAL who himself had overcome the yips after being stricken with them as a collegiate relief pitcher in baseball. According to Koon, he connected with Glover and told him, "I know what you're going through. I did it in baseball and I can fix you. But it's going to be different than anything you've ever heard. I'm going to take you to a different place." Koon's approach was largely based on the fact that even though he struggled with the yips to the point that he couldn't throw strikes in a sport he had played his whole life, he still became a Navy SEAL, one of the toughest and most demanding jobs in the world. Koon continued, "That took a lot of mental toughness, and at the same point in my life I couldn't throw a baseball. Becoming a SEAL proved to me it couldn't be a lack of mental toughness. I want to put the shame and the guilt away and understand it can happen to anybody." Koon finished his description of his approach by saying, "I want to make clear to players that this is not due to a lack of mental toughness. I think showing up day after day and competing with the yips, I view that as an injury, and still competing is mental toughness on display. Knowing the embarrassment that's associated with it every day and to go out and say, I'm going to face that, that's toughness." Speaking in detail about the putting issue, Glover said, "It was full-on no control over my facilities. I was convinced I could beat it and out-practice it. It was just the way I'm wired. Turns out that wasn't the case." Koon was able to help Glover, who immediately was able to make something click in his mind. Glover said, "It's more of a scientific understanding of what was happening. It's more of a central nervous system issue than a brain thing. I'd never had it explained to me scientifically. What I took the most from it was he said, 'Hey dude, you're not mentally weak. Just the opposite. But being able to compete with this at that level tells me you're as strong as anyone I've ever met.'" Glover continued by saying, "It was night and day different. I just needed to hear what he had to say, that this should rewire your brain a little bit." This brings us to recent events. Up until Koon helped Glover to overcome his putting issues, Glover was ranked 199th out of 205 players on the PGA Tour in strokes gained from putting. After working with Koon, as well as switching to a longer broomstick putter, things completely turned around for Glover, who subsequently finished in the top 10 at several PGA Tour events. Speaking on the change, Glover said back in mid-July, "I got to a point with putting I needed basically a whole new brain function, a whole new method. I had 2 weeks off before Memorial and just ordered a new putter and taught myself how to use it and been kind of sticking to that. It's been fun to teach myself something in the game I've been doing for literally 40 years. Things would get even better for Glover, who several weeks later rode his newly consistent overall game to a victory at the Wyndham Championship, his first win on tour in over 2 years. The win meant a lot for Glover in terms of helping him regain his confidence, but also in helping him to feel comfortable in his profession, which for so long had been a struggle. Speaking about his family and their support of him, Glover said following the win, "I don't get to see these guys as much as I've wanted to because I haven't been playing that great. Maybe I can see more practices and more games and be home a little more. I'm too old to be on the road this much. I've been busting my hump so I can be with them and be with my wife, and I'm so happy. But wait, there's more. There was no victory hangover for Glover, who came back the next week at the FedEx St. Jude Championship in Memphis and won again, beating Patrick Cantlay in a playoff for his second consecutive win and a cool $3.6 million. In an interview after the game, a reporter asked Glover, "If I would have told you at the beginning of June you win in back-to-back weeks, including the first FedEx Cup playoff event, thanks in large part to your putting, what would you have told me?" To which Glover hilariously replied, "I would have hired you as a therapist. No, you work hard no matter what. Whether you're fighting something or you're playing great, you just work hard. You never know when it could turn, and it's turned very quickly for me. Luckily, I've been in a good frame of mind to take advantage of it." Glover, very much so the wily veteran on the PGA Tour, knew that the win wouldn't come easy, but he kept the faith, saying, "It was just keep fighting. The closing holes here aren't easy birdies. They're not easy pars, really, under pressure. It was just keep fighting, stay close, and I was fortunate to get into that playoff. I said yesterday the guns would be coming, and they came. I was just the last man standing this week." By winning in back-to-back weeks at the age of 43, Glover became only the third player aged 43 years or more to win in back-to-back events on the PGA Tour in the past 40 years. One of the few feats that even the great Tiger Woods hasn't accomplished. It's an incredible achievement for Glover, who just several months prior was wondering if he would ever win another pro tournament. Glover's friend and 2023 Open champion Brian Harman put into further context how impressive Glover's win was prior to the BMW Championship when he said, "It's hard for me to put into words how proud and impressed I am with Lucas Glover just because of what he's been through. I read an article the other day that made me very angry. It said, 'Journeyman Lucas Glover,' and I thought, what a ridiculous thing to say. This guy has made I don't know how many tour championships, won the US Open. He's won 6 or 7 times now. Lucas Glover is a world beater." Harman continued, "To go through what he went through with his putter and to come out on the other side, I think about like Andy Dufresne crawling through the river and coming out clean the other side. I'm so proud of him. I'm so happy for him. My wife and I were watching him win Wyndham, and both of us are in tears watching it, and to follow it back up the next week, it's awesome." Comment with your thoughts and make sure to subscribe for more content like this. We'll catch you in the next one.